Hi, it's Lisa back with a clever idea for a small riser. I was trying to decorate this tray and realized I needed a small riser, and I thought I would like a little stack of books, but wasn't able to find books small enough. And I thought of these little stretch canvases that the Dollar Tree has, and I bought some of those. Now for this project I'm going to need 4. They say that necessity is the mother of invention, so here I guess it's true. So I'm just going to hot glue the backs of these canvases together until I have 2 separate books. I'm not going to worry about the little ridge that's going to be in between because I have plans to hide that. So we're just going to glue these 2 together and then glue the other 2, and we'll be ready to for our next step. Now the next step, I'm using just an air dry clay. Now I'm using IOD because I like to use it in my molds, and I found that the IOD clay is a lot easier to remove from the molds. But you could use any clay, and I guess you could even use joint compound here, and that would be even more cost efficient. But I feel like this clay dries pretty fast. It's easy to sand, and so I had it handy, and that's just what I decided to use. So I just put it down all of these little creases and fill them in good, and then let that dry. This clay is so easy to work with, and if you haven't tried the clay molds, they're awesome. I'm not sponsored by IOD, but it really is a good product. I don't worry with getting this on my hands because it washes right off. Doesn't seem to be real drying to your hands. I probably wouldn't know though because I have my hands in so much. So I do this to both of these books, and then I'm ready to move on to the next step, which is just sanding, giving it a light sanding. So I just sand that off all around. You don't have to sand it perfectly because these are going to be old books, and we want them to look worn. And old books get worn and somewhat disfigured, and it's okay. So I cut me a strip of muslin fabric. You could use even sheet material. I've cut up old sheets before and used them. But I just cut me a couple strips because I'm going to glue those to the spine of these books. And that's going to mimic the old linen that the books were made from. You know how they'll have the linen look, and then they get worn and in the creases, and you'll see some fabric kind of torn off, and that's what this is going to mimic. You'll be amazed when we're finished how much these really do resemble old books. So I just glue that with hot glue down both spines, and then they're ready to paint. I'm noticing in this voiceover that the water where I wipe down the counter is just slowly drying throughout my video. I just thought that was funny. But now I'm going to go over this with some paint. I'm using moss here in chalk paint, but use whatever color you think looks good. I'm just trying to go with what will look good with my vignette, and also a color that you would normally see in an old vintage book. This is where you just start to get creative and do what you like. If you don't want it to look like old books, then obviously you could skip the fabric on the spine, and you could just paint. This could even be done in white, but I want them to look old. So now here I'm just using a regular apple barrel paint. And I think that maybe this color is caramel. Don't hold me to that, but I think that's what that is. And there where we paint the spine, that's what gives it the worn book look. And it is really amazing how much it resembles the torn linen that you'll see on the spines of an old book. Now, with these colors, I wanted them to look more worn. So I decided to go over them with a lighter paint. And here I'm using some sort of off-white. I don't even know what color. I think it's a linen white with a little bit of tan mixed. I'm notorious for just mixing colors. And so I'm not even sure what color this is. But it's just lighter. And we're just going to go over it. And as you see here, it just gives it more of that worn color. And so I do that over the entire book, and then move on to the next one. And as you can tell here, I'm not even cleaning my brush. I'm just going straight to that. It wasn't a problem for me. If you end up with more of the tan color than you want on it, then just go over it with your gray again, but it worked out fine. I've let these dry, and now they're ready to glue together, which is why I didn't paint that additional side. And I'm already starting to like the looks of these books. So I just glue these together here, and it will resemble two books stacked together. And like I said, I'm going to use them for a riser on a little vignette. Now, you don't have to make these primitive books if that's not how you decorate. If you just decorate farmhouse, then paint them white and put you some letter stencils on them. But I want mine to look old, so I had a hard time finding stamps for these spines. So I'm just taking a bigger stamp here, and I'm going to put, which I've already done it ahead of time here, but I just put my ink on just the part of the stamp that I want, and then just stamp it on there. And then I found this little stamp that was a little bit more appropriate for a spine, but I've decided I want to be on the lookout for some stamps that will work better for these book jackets. Now, on the front of this one, I just decided to go with a couple of little birds because I'm going to be putting a little bird on top of this. So I almost didn't put anything on the front, but I felt like it needed a little something. So I'm just going to use this black ink and ink up these little bird stamps and put a couple of them on the front. Now, this is all personal preference at this point. You just do what you think looks good. Use the colors that maybe you're using in your vignette. Or like I said, just use white. Now, as you can see on the sides there, I have taken an extra step to make these look like books. By making it look like there's pages on the side. And I'm going to show you later what I did. I just didn't want to take up your time actually doing that because you have to wait on the paint to dry and all that. So, and you could omit that step. I like for all angles of my craft to look good, and so I didn't want to skip that step. So there, as you can see, I've made it look like books, and I just used the regular tape from the Dollar Tree, the masking tape, and I just block off what I want to stay the book jacket color. So as you can see there, I just put a piece of tape down both sides just to mask off that little tiny area that will remain black or gray. And then I do the same thing with the little spine area. And then I just paint the color that I want my pages to look, and pull it off, and voila. Now you have your book pages. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope that you'll like, subscribe, and share if you've enjoyed the content I've been sharing. And have a wonderful day.